Hey, 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 Fit Mama. Jen Oliver here, your host of the Fit Mama podcast. This is the work in to your workout.
Welcome back, Fit Mama, for episode 15, The Journey of 10,000 Steps. What is the journey of 10,000 steps? Well, it is our big goals. It is our desires. It is that big thing that you're working towards that feels like huge and far away, that feels like it's not something that is here yet. It doesn't feel like it's here yet. It seems so big, but it all breaks down to your habits. What is a habit? The online dictionary definition is a recurrent, often unconscious pattern of behavior that is acquired through frequent repetition. A recurrent, often unconscious pattern of behavior. Now, this sounds like it's not really in our control, a habit, but we know habits are formed even when we're not in control. Right? It starts out as a one-time thing. For example, once in a while you go out for drinks, or once in a while you go to the drive-thru, or once in a while you skip the gym. But it kind of feels good to do it once in a while. And then it kind of feels good to do it all the while, right? All the time. I mean, especially like having a glass of wine. We have it when we go out. Then it's like, well, I could recreate that feeling of relaxation and enjoyment here in my own home every night of the week, right? So we get into what we call vices, which end up being habits that don't serve us. So they can be formed quite easily. However, sometimes healthy habits, again, healthy, quote unquote, depending on what it is for you, might be harder to acquire. So the question is, what are the habits you're forming? Are they good habits? Again, good or bad for you. How are you feeling? Are you feeling good or are you feeling bad? And the difference is not physical only, it's also emotional. Are you feeling guilty? Are you feeling negative? Are you feeling depressed? Are you feeling emotional? How are the foods and the actions that you are consuming every single day? I mean, recently I saw a woman's post online, and I loved this, that she said this out loud, was, I need some positive people to follow on Instagram. Instagram makes me feel like crap about my body, right? Because she's seeing all these fitness models, or she's seeing people that have bodies that are not looking like hers, and it's not motivating her to go to the gym. It's making her feel like crap. So are these things that you're doing every day that you're exposing your brain and your emotional body to serving you? Right? Serving you. Is it a good habit to form? Ask yourself how you feel, good or not good, right? It's debatable. Having that wine every night might feel good, and then you start to feel hungover when you wake up, right? You ask yourself every single day what it is that you want to feel like today. When you lay your head down on that pillow, how do you want to feel? And it's not guilt over having eaten chicken wings or pizza or whatever you've deemed bad. It's more about you holding yourself to treating yourself well most of the time, and that being your goal. So going out and having chicken wings or making chicken wings or whatever, it has nothing to do with chicken wings. It has everything to do with your emotions while you're doing it, because you're not building a habit to eat chicken wings every week, even though you think you are. You're actually building an emotional attachment to that experience. And I'll tell you this, I went out, and I don't know why I'm thinking of these chicken wings, but when I was in university, I went to Queen's University. So hey to all my Queen's alumni. And so when I was at Queen's, we went out in my first year, we went out to every Tuesday. It was like 10 Cent Tuesday or something. I don't remember, but it was a Tuesday night party we used to go to at a restaurant where they had cheap wings and beer. So we used to eat and drink every week. Well, more often than that. I definitely drank a lot more often when I was in university. But the really interesting thing is that it wasn't the wings and it wasn't even the beer, although I do love beer, that really drew me to this night, right? It wasn't that. It was that I was getting together with my friends. It was that it was a release. It was a night off from our basketball practice because Tuesdays we had practiced in the morning. So it was this party that I just felt like I was entitled to have every week, which was great. But we call the freshman 15, which was the extra 15 pounds that I put on, even though I was playing basketball every day because I was going and binge drinking, right? Or I was going and feeling like this emotional connection with my friends or teammates or classmates was over the food or drinks when really it wasn't even about that, right? I could have gone and I could have just enjoyed myself regardless. Maybe, right? Maybe. So we look at how we form habits, and often they're because of these emotional connections that we form. And we think this big journey of 10,000 steps is, oh, well, it's so hard. I'm never going to get to that goal, right? We think, oh, that's so difficult, right? And I could have thought that after I gained 15 pounds, I could have said, oh my gosh, how am I going to lose this 15 pounds, right? For me, and I'll tell you that, I'll share with you that story, whether it's today or on another podcast, of how I lost that 15 pounds like nothing and how I never gained it again. And that was now 2000. So actually, no, I think that was 2001. That was my first year in university. That was now going on 18 years ago, 17 years ago. So anyway, that's a story for possibly another day. But the key thing to note is that even if you're not aware of it, you're forming habits that have consequences, right? What are these consequences? Every Friday night I go out for drinks, or every, and I'm not saying drinking is bad. And actually, I really do say that I know the statistics are that teetotalers, that means people who never drink, are not necessarily healthier. And again, it's not because of resveratrol or one of the components in wine or anything like that. It's simply because people who tend to abstain from things might have more negative feelings about them or have that sort of emotional tie to not drinking. And then that maybe could be a negative consequence. So again, that's another story for another day too. But my point is that not doing something is just the same as doing something, right? It could have a negative consequence. So looking at your own habits, are you doing something that is harming you in the long run and possibly in the short run, right? Like having cigarettes, right? For example, smoking cigarettes, right? Having cigarettes in your life, this is one of those really not to do type of habits, right? It just isn't health promoting. And so it's one of those big ones, right? It's one of those ones that if you're doing that, you change that habit and all these other changes will happen. That's like a huge step. So on the journey to 10,000 steps, if 10,000 steps was health, feeling true, thriving positivity, right? Not just the absence of disease, right? That's not health, but true health, true thriving. What would it be? What would that be like? And if you changed smoking, you would get there with a big jump with like 100 steps in one. Okay, so we're going to go into that a little bit later in this podcast as well. But my point isn't that you should not engage in happy hour or not have wine or whatever. It's just that when these become a daily habit, and that's why I'm pointing out smoking, because smoking is something we do every day if we're a smoker, or maybe we do it once a week when we're drinking or something, which is less bad, let's say, but not good per se, okay, if we're using those delineations. But it's one of those things that we do and we go, oh, I woke up one day and I was 20 pounds heavier, right? So for me, I did this all year. And even though I was playing basketball, my clothes didn't fit. I remember going shopping with my mom at the end of first year going, I don't even know like what size I am because nothing in my closet fits me anymore, right? And it wasn't a self-loathing. It was a simply, I don't know what is happening here, right? I wasn't self-aware to realize that beer habit or whatever habits I had at the time were not health promoting, right? They definitely weren't promoting health in my body. So we know that not making good choices in our daily habits is where most dis-ease comes from. Okay, and if you don't know that by now, that is an important thing to understand, right? The journey of 10,000 steps begins with one step, right? And I'm going to keep saying this over and over because it's just those daily habits, those habitual steps. So sometimes we could be taking steps backwards or taking little steps only, which is okay too, right? Just moving a little bit is good too. But where are you going? Sometimes awareness about where are you going is the most important thing. Because when it comes to a habit, it becomes this unconscious pattern, right? We sleep in, we snooze our alarm, and we do this every day, right? We don't even realize, well, you said you woke up every day at 6 a.m., but do you know you don't wake up every day at 6 a.m.? You actually haven't woken up every day at 6 a.m. in a year because you hit your alarm and you end up out of bed at 7. So where are we lying to ourselves, right? Where are we lying and having these unconscious, unaware patterns that are truly leaving us really far away from the goals that we have? So let's talk about forming habits that are healthy for you, right? What about when you wake up and you say, hey, I'm feeling better today than I did yesterday, right? Oh, I don't feel hungover. I was drinking wine every day. And this is why I'm bringing myself up, because I was drinking wine every day. I got into the habit of drinking wine every day. And it was one of those things that I realized wasn't serving me, but I wasn't actually having any negative consequences. Really, that I thought, that I noticed, right? Of course, when I was in it. So only once I stopped doing it every day did I notice that I woke up the next morning feeling more energized or feeling more rested or whatever feeling I had that was better than the feeling I had because I was drinking, right? And for me, I started to look at what was this drinking about, right? Because I do love drinking, I'm not going to lie. I love the taste of wine and beer. I love alcohol in the way it makes me feel. I don't like getting drunk, so I don't drink copious amounts and get drunk, but I do like a glass of wine or a couple glasses of wine, right? I like having that enjoyable time. But when you do something every day, even enjoyable things, they become less enjoyable. So I wasn't looking forward to having a glass of wine when I go out. I would have to have 2 or 3 because my tolerance was so high. Right? So I started to look at how is this negatively affecting my life? Well, I had to pay more because I was buying 3 glasses of wine when I go out. I had to feel groggy the next morning because I was having more. I noticed these were adding up, right? And that's how habits work, whether positive or negative. And I've noticed that with my Fit-Hit workouts I've been doing with the Fit Mamas. 3 times a week, I'm doing these high intensity workouts online. And I've noticed now going into week 4 that, wow, 30 pop squats, jumping squats, and lunges don't feel as hard. Waking up doesn't feel as hard. The things don't feel as bad, right? My legs recover faster. All these things are because they add up. The journey of 10,000 steps begins with 1, and then it compounds and it compounds and it continues to compound until it is at what, right? It's the journey of yours. It's your life. It's the joy in your life, or it's the absence of joy, right? Is it causing you pain? Again, pleasure achieved in the negative, right? Joy can be brought on by pain. And we've talked about this in other episodes. So the key to habit formation is realizing that repetition forms the habit. So if you want to enjoy wine, if you want to do things that are health promoting, realize that doing things that are health promoting are best done on a daily basis or very consistent. Things that maybe aren't health promoting can be done less consistently, right? Oh, I only go to the drive-through once a week or once a month. Or one of my clients, I remember, she really wanted to give up iced cappuccinos. They're these frothy drinks with 100 tons of sugar. And she was going from 3 a day, and her goal was to go down to 1 a day because she would go to the drive-through and spend, I don't know how much they are, but let's say $5 and get these frothy, icy sugary drinks 3 times a day and then was wondering why she wasn't getting the results in the gym, right? She became self-aware that this was a habit she had formed and it was not serving her. So setting goals that are realistic, right? You don't want to take a jump of 100 steps. Maybe you're not ready to quit smoking, but you're ready to do only smoking once a week or once a month or once a year or once every 5 years, whatever feels realistic, right? So just doing something is important. Not doing something is also important, right? It goes both ways, but they both build up. They add up over time in that small incremental way that all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we either have a habit or we don't, right? So for example, let's take flossing your teeth every night before bed. Do you do it? Is it something your dentist suggests every time you go and see them? Is it something you hate to do? It's something that only takes about a minute or less, actually. But for some reason, it seems unimportant. It seems like we're not going to bother with that because, plaque builds up in such a small amount that we don't really notice, right? If we go to the dentist regularly, they'll get it out. Oh, our teeth are still fine, right? And only we notice when we're like 85 and we go, oh my God, I wish I had taken care of my teeth, right? And I talk about teeth often because I have grandparents that do not have teeth. I have people in my life that I'm genetically linked to that do not have good teeth situations. This is a goal of mine to maintain my teeth. So flossing is important to me. So making it important to you, right? Not having to look at your elders and say, okay, well, I don't want that, right? Maybe they do or don't have good teeth, but for yourself, regardless, how about just maintaining this beautiful body and its health as best you can right now? Right? So even if it takes just a minute, we don't always do it. But we know that flossing is good for our teeth, right? Removes that bacteria, keeps things clean, doesn't build up and cause issues down the road. But it's irritating and it's not that riveting and exciting, but it's something we should do, right? We go back and forth. We go, oh, it's so good for me and I should do it, right? We tell ourselves that. But night after night, the floss sits on the counter or is stashed away and we don't even know we have it or never even purchased it because we knew we weren't going to do it. It's time. Fit Mama, it's time to do those little things. And the thing is, when we create these little rituals of self-care, they create positive consequences. Positive, right? Positive consequences are the ones that really just feel good. And I don't know, maybe they're called benefits, right? Maybe they're called side benefits. Side effects could be like consequences, but either way, something happens when you do or don't do something, right? So just do the things that will feel good and make a choice. If flossing is not something you care for or going to do, it's okay. But don't tell yourself you're going to do it and then undermine yourself, right? Undermining yourself leads to self-respect erosion, right? You're eroding your self-respect when you say, yeah, I'm going to do that. And then you never do it. So maybe nobody else knows, but yourself knows, right? You know that you aren't honoring you. So don't make the promise to yourself if you're not going to do it, or else do it, right? Because surely you don't question the value of brushing your teeth every day, do you? So the same goes for one little thing like flossing or something like exercising, right? See if the return on the investment is worth it for you. How do you value it? So the easiest way to form a habit, as we now are pretty clear, is by doing it. Right? By doing it, by doing something day after day, you will notice that changes are being made. You will notice, even if it's 6 weeks, even if it's 9 weeks, even if it's 12 weeks, things will become noticeable. So stick with something long enough. Too many people quit on the way to their goals after 4,000 steps. Right? And it's a journey of 10,000 steps. So you can't quit halfway, right? Or before halfway. So trust yourself and respect yourself enough to continue, right? To continue. Choose to do that habit and go all the way with it, right? Go all the way. Trust yourself that you deserve to go all the way. I don't need to give you a lesson about flossing, so I won't get into that. But we know that just brushing and not flossing is like washing 65% of your body. The other 35% remains dirty, right? So think about, where are you cutting corners in your life and why? And if there's simple little things, how can you make it easier on yourself, right? There are many ways to make flossing easier. Instead of getting the long cords, you can get those little, they look like little axes, and you can floss with those, right? Making it easier on yourself. If you're having a hard time getting all your veggies in and then they end up in your fridge and then you have to throw them out, pre-cut up veggies might be the thing for you. And you don't have to do it all yourself, right? You don't have to do it all yourself. Ask yourself where you're cutting corners, but really you end up being the one that loses, right? You think you're saving time, but you're losing at the end of the day. You're saving something, but where are you paying in the future? Where are you paying in the future? Ask yourself that. So maybe try a personal experiment, right? Try something different. And actually, I don't want to use the word try, because that's going to be another one of my podcasts, is don't try. Okay, don't try. I'm going to nix that. Don't try. Just do. Okay, do a personal experiment. It might seem scary to say, I'm going to floss every night this week, but how about I'm going to floss one night this week? Or how about I'm going to get up early one morning this week? How about I'm going to meditate once this week? What one small thing can you do? Not try, but do. Do it at least once, and then it will add to your total. Right? And it will add. This year, instead of not flossing, you will have flossed 52 times if you do it once a week, right? And then if you add a week or add a day, then all of a sudden you have 2 times that. And in a year, you go back and see the dentist and you've flossed over 100 times just from doing it 2 days a week, right? This isn't something that is going to take hours of your time, but it's going to change your life, right? It's going to be those steps on the way to 10,000 steps. So already, whatever habits you're looking to create, they just require that repetition, doing it again, and then again, and then again, and committing to yourself to repeat an action that will eventually become a habit that is unconscious, right? It will become unconscious to every night you brush your teeth, and then it'll feel weird walking away without flossing, right? Don't fear how scary it is, the 10,000 steps. Oh my God, flossing every day, like my life will be so hard, right? No, just one day. Just say today. Just today, right? And that goes with anything. Just today for exercise. Just today for not smoking. Just today for talking more lovingly to those in your life. Just today for talking more lovingly to your own body. Just for today. Just for today. And before you know it, you are a regular flosser. You are a regular exerciser. You are whatever you want. Right? Whatever you want. So start small, continuous improvement will come. Just take one action and the next action and the next action, and you will keep on going. And you will be surprised how much personal satisfaction and self-respect will be gained from doing something so simple as flossing your teeth or drinking water every day or nourishing yourself or not going to the drive-thru. You will be surprised, I'm telling you, and I want to hear from you. So write to me, find me on Facebook at Jen Oliver. I want to hear from you because I know that these little habits, positive or negative, add up over time. I know it. So have fun with forming habits. And when it comes to unforming those habits, again, the journey begins. The journey of 10,000 steps begins with a single one, Fit Mama. So the same thing as unforming all those habits that you're realizing are not working for you. One of the big ones I hear from Fit Mamas is, when I was pregnant, I ate anything, right? I ate anything and everything. I ate it all. I was not caring. I usually have strict food rules, and I just went, hell no, I am just eating whatever, right? I'm going to gain weight anyway. So this is not uncommon. But what happens is postpartum, we are breastfeeding, or we lose all kinds of weight because just we end up losing weight because we're not sleeping, or we end up gaining more because we're not sleeping. So things can happen in either direction. But either way, we wake up one day and we go, whoa, what's happening here? Everything's completely out of control. I'm still eating everything that does not feel good to me, but I'm completely not feeling my body because it went through drama and trauma, and nothing feels good. I am so spun out. I haven't slept. I haven't eaten well. I haven't exercised, and nothing feels quite right. So we kind of hit this point, right? That's what happens. We go, I need to unform these habits, right? I have a sugar addiction, or I have a cracker addiction, or whatever we think we have. Okay. So unforming is very important as well. And all it takes, Fit Mama, is setting some little goals. Again, what is one step, or what is 10 steps? What feels easy, though, that you can manage today, just today, right? And I'm wanting to be healthier, or wanting to lose weight, or any of these blanket statements that we whip out. The problem with them are that they are not specific, right? Because I want to be healthier sounds good, right? But you're sleep deprived if that's really a goal that is motivating you, right? It's not. It's actually sabotaging you because it's too vague. And then we don't know what that feels like because we haven't felt healthy in forever. Because we don't know what even feels any good anymore. So we need to start a little smaller. Just start smaller by saying, what is it that I want to feel today? Okay, what do I feel like after I have that pop, or that beer, or that big plate of whatever that I usually eat? What do I feel like after that? And if the answer isn't positive or better or energized or alive, then perhaps that's a place to start. Right? Perhaps it's a place to start, because being healthy is not just merely the absence of disease, right? It's not. The superficial will not motivate you for very long. So what is going to motivate you? Getting deeper into the feeling good, or understanding what thriving really means to you? I'm a keen learner of psychology, and there's a lot of psychology in what I talk about here as the work into your workout. And psychology has always been the study of mental illness in the past, and those who are just not all there, right? But positive psychology, which is a new movement over the last 20 or so years, maybe a little longer, is this movement that's spearheaded by a scientist named Martin Seligman, who's a well-known psychologist, and a bunch of his colleagues. They have started to research what it really means to thrive. It's not just, do you not have schizophrenia, right? Or have schizophrenia, right? We'll study you or we won't. It's really about, okay, so you don't have a mental illness, but how can we feel better? Right? Better than the status quo, better than that mediocre, that okay that we talked about last episode. So the same thing goes for your mind-body health, right? Just because you don't have a disease or a condition, that doesn't mean that you're thriving, Fit Mama. That doesn't mean that you are feeling fucking fantastic, right? It doesn't mean that. It means that you're surviving. It means that you wake up every day. That's a bonus, right? Thank God. But what else can it mean? What can life mean if we start to cultivate some of these healthy habits, some of these things that really honor us? How can you flourish and start to really feel good? This is what the holistic health approach is, right? This is what the mind-body is all about. This is what getting deeper and more congruent with you and your beliefs and the beliefs that you have in the core of who you are to guide you really all comes in. So if you've ever said to yourself something like, I want to get healthy, or I want to get fit, or I want to be more toned, I want to lose weight, right? What does that mean? What does that look like on a day-to-day basis, right? Because if I want to become a runner, the thing has to happen is that you have to run every day, right? Or run multiple times, repeat, repeat, repeat to become that, right? You can do it once and say, I'm a runner. And then all you have to do is repeat, and you can keep saying, I'm a runner, right? For every time you run, you can say, I'm a runner. Or you can say that for that day or that week, right? But what is it that you want? We'll start doing the actions that reflect that. But whatever your goal, Fit Mama, remember, one step at a time, right? To that 10,000 steps, it's just one step and then another step. In the behavior change research, specifically with regards to the adoption and maintenance of exercise, there's something in the literature called the intention behavior gap, okay? And not to get too sciencey here, but what this means is that we have intentions to do something, and then we don't quite follow the behavior, right? Or maybe we do the behavior, but it's really far down the road. And there's this gap between the intention we have and the behavior being carried out, right? We want to lose weight, but the behaviors we're carrying out are driving through the drive-thru, or skipping our workout, or drinking too much, or whatever. So we want to reduce this intention behavior gap. We want to have our behaviors more aligned with our intentions, right? By saying, okay, I want to be more toned. What's that going to take? That's going to take me doing the Fit Hit 3 times a week, right? Because I have noticed it was just 3 weeks. Actually, I noticed after the first week that I was more toned. I felt stronger. And yes, it changed everything, right? The workouts started getting easier within the first week. It's kind of crazy, but that's what happens. These things build on each other, right? And you're setting the foundation with which you will continue repeating, and over and over and over, right? The point isn't that you wholeheartedly don't jump into something, right? It just means you wholeheartedly jump in with your mind and your body, and you take it one step at a time, one day at a time. You don't need to think about that big picture, but remind yourself every time you say what you want that you must start to embody that by taking action. And then that intention behavior gap will be reduced. So if you want to be a runner, you can't say, I want to be a runner. You have to say, I am a runner, and today, run. That's it, right? You can use the word I am in place of I want, and then take action in place of inaction or trying, right? That's it. That's one small swap. I want to I am. And then take action to reflect that, right? Then you won't have any incongruence when you say I am something and you're not, right? And we have incongruence all the time. We say, I'm lazy, but you're not lazy, right? Look at how much you get done in a day. You're not lazy, so stop telling yourself that, right? Notice how the words I am completely change everything. Right? Everything. And when I started running, I followed this principle. This is actually to finish and come full story on my weight loss, which never felt like the weight loss struggle that most people feel, is because I did not think about it. I played basketball, I ran, I learned to run. And weight loss does not necessarily come from running. I won't say that. Mostly it was my eating habits changed when I left the cafeteria after that freshman year and stopped going to the weekly eat outs. I think. I'm pretty sure I stopped. But anyways, it definitely had a lot to do with my diet for sure. But the one thing that it was that I started running. I said, I'm a runner. I was about 20, and I'd never been a consistent runner. I played basketball, but unless I was being chased or I had the ball, I was not running. This was not interesting to me. But I moved to Colorado, to Boulder, which is a beautiful place on the planet if you haven't been. And I wanted to run because I wanted to see as much of it as I could. So I took up mountain biking and I took up running, and I said, I'm going out every day. I went to the canyons and I just wanted to be in the beauty. It felt like an indoor space. Like the mountains were like hugging me, and I was like in someone's big living room, and I was just there to see the sights and look at their beautiful furniture or something. It was just such a miraculous experience. So all I did was run. One day I could only run for 2 minutes. Actually less, probably 10 steps. I just pieced it together. I just every day said, I am a runner. And I went out and I ran for 2 minutes, and then I walked. And then I walked until I caught my breath, and then I ran for another minute or whatever until I lost breath, and then I walked. And then when I caught my breath, I ran. Lost breath, caught breath. Lost breath, caught breath. That's all I did to learn running. That's all I really do in my whole life. That's secret, right? That's a secret. That's really what I do. I go, and we do that with the kids, right? We go until we lose our breath, right? Okay, we've done this toy, we've done this game, we've done these errands, and then we catch our breath, right? And we can do this multiple times in a day, or we can do this every minute if we choose to breathe, right? If we choose to be in every moment, which is what I teach in the Fit Mama Foundations course. So it's just that little bit every single day, Fit Mama, that is going to take you from that place of okay and mediocre to step up, right? Step up for you. Step up for one more action. But don't try, just do. Even if something's shifting in your mindset, start using different words towards yourself, right? How you think is still part of action or inaction, right? We can hold ourselves back just with thought. Thoughts become things. You know that by now. Thoughts become things. So what's going to take you there? What's going to take you to the 10,000 steps? What's your one step today? Trust yourself that you have the power to do what you say you will do. And what you want out of life is more important than the excuses that you make, right? It's worth the sacrifice for 30 seconds of flossing, for waking up 10 minutes earlier to have some quiet breathing or meditation. It's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. You're worth it. Have a great day. I will see you online, Fit Mama. Namaste.